Hey there everybody, it's Noah with Producer Hive, and I'm very excited to be here with you today to show you around Diablo, the new drum enhancer plugin from Cymatics. Now what I've done is I've taken a few different loops of varying tempos, varying genres, varying instrumentation, so that we can test out the versatility of Diablo. See what we can really do with these 7 different modules that can be used independently or used in concert with each other to enhance our drums. And we're going to see if we can enhance our drums. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now this first one that I have queued up here is it's an 808 sub loop. It's like fairly simple. I'll give you a taste of what it's like without Diablo. You get the idea. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, not much going on there. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is use one of these presets that we have within Diablo, one of the ones designed specifically for the 808, to dress it up a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Let me make sure I enable the plugin too. So this particular preset is called Heat, and really all you're getting, with a little exception with the Sizzle here, but for the most part you're just getting Heat, which is the saturation module within Diablo. Within this module, you've got 4 different profiles for saturation. So we've got Blaze enabled right now. Let's try it with Pyro, and let's turn up the heat just a little bit and see what happens. So that has a huge impact, and it's definitely saturating. I think what I'll do also is add a little bit of the soft clip and see if that evens things out a little bit. .808s, have a tendency to sort of lay low, oftentimes by design. But if you're trying to bring out a little bit of heat with your 808, then that's how you do it. Let's go ahead and have a listen to our next loop. So if you're hearing what I'm hearing, then you're noticing that we've got like a really powerful snap and a less powerful kick. So what I'm going to try and do here is bring up the level of the kick so that we've got a more balanced percussion loop. The way I'm going to start this is with the boost function, which is essentially a very specific EQ. So these are basically 4 different EQ profiles that you can then use this frequency selector to target. So you've got a shape and you can move it depending on what frequency you're trying to target here. So what I'm going to do is have another listen to this, figure out where my kick is, and then target that kick with one of these EQ profiles. Now what I'm going to do is play around with the transient shape, and the way you do that is with the punch and the body module. As you might have been able to tell, this punch is really bringing out the punchiness of a transient, and then the body is sustaining that transient somewhat because it's basically a fast acting compressor. So with these two features, you're able to kind of pinpoint exactly where you want your transient to be. And I say pinpoint, what I really mean is like it's like working with an Etch-a-Sketch. Like you've got two knobs that you can adjust to try and get the shape that you want. All right, let's have a listen to this next loop, which is just a simple hi-hat pattern. You get the idea. The thing with this hi-hat pattern, which is interesting to me, is that you can take a look. We are mostly where you would expect a hi-hat to be, which is like in the upper quarter of your frequency spectrum, right? But we also have a little chunk of sound that's around the 1K, which is where I would normally want to have my like snare type frequencies happening. So something we could do here is to play around with this bandpass filter in order to get rid of those frequencies that we're probably not really noticing anyway, so that we've got some more room in our mix when it comes time to add some other instruments later on. So let's hear how that sounds. Yeah, you can't really hear the difference, but that's going to make some room when you add other frequencies that need to be right there later on. The other thing I'm going to try here is playing around with some of these different sizzle profiles to see how they sound. Now, I'm a big fan of Exciter in comparison to the other two profiles in Sizzle because I think it's the most subtle. But all of these are interesting, and all of them have to do essentially with timbre. Basically, you're livening up a different set of upper harmonics when you start to initialize any of these. So, like you can see it most easily with Crush. So I'm gonna try this one. Okay, so this next clip is a very full drum mix, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I hit play. So there's a lot going on there. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'll start off with a preset, and I'll start off specifically with a drum bus preset and the New York drum bus preset. Because this is essentially what you might send through to a drum bus. You've got all of your instruments ready to go, processed, and you're just like sticking them together. You put a little bit of something on it at the end, and then it's ready to go. So that's what we'll do here. And the first thing you might notice when you take a look at this preset and the settings thereof is our mix is down at 4. It's very low in the that particular global control is turned down very low. And the reason why is because look at all of these modules that are up at full blast. So what I'm going to do is I'll turn this on and see how it sounds with just the very low mixed drum bus preset. See how it sounds. It's very subtle, but you got a little bit of distortion in there, and you've got a little bit of thickening thanks to the body feature here. What I'm going to do now is turn some of these down and change them around so that we can hear some of the differences, and then as I do that, I'll boost up the mix a little bit. This next loop is going to be interesting because it's an overhead mics loop. So we have some drums, but we've also recorded a great deal of room sound with this loop. So it'll be interesting to hear how Diablo handles that that ambience. Pretty basic drum loop, but with the addition of that ambience, it'll make it an interesting challenge for Diablo. Let's hear how it handles it. The first thing I want to do is sharpen up these transients. So I like the way that's sounding so far. I want to put a little exciter on there as well to see what happens with that ambience when we bring out some of those frequencies. You can definitely hear it as you get beyond 12 o'clock with the sizzle. Now let's see what happens when we put a little more heat on there. Let's go ahead and move into our last sample and see what we can do with it. Okay, very cool. I think let's start off with a preset, see what we can do. Let's just try the lift, see how that sounds. Yeah, I gotta say, this is a very cool plugin. It offers the functionality of a bunch of different modules that could each in themselves be plugins, and then when you stick them all together in a single user interface, you've got lots of different possibilities in one. It's a multi-tool. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe to the Producer Hive YouTube channel and check out the website producerhive.com, where we have all sorts of music-related content for your perusal. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.